Anyone who listens regularly and notices that right when Cap got to Kiev, we recorded an entire episode, which I only have his audio for. Man, that was a fuck up. I'm so excited that it took us almost 50 episodes to get to the point where I really ruined an episode. It finally happened. So that's what happened there. And then Cap had such a fun time. I was so jealous with you hanging out with Slacks and Jenkins, mostly because it looks like you guys were in straight loungewear. Like Cap had the sweatiest of sweatpants on, Jenkins had socks from the dollar store, and your slippers looked so comfortable. Like I just wanted to hop into some comfortable clothing and just go join you on the other side of the world.
Those are called bear claw slippers. They're excellent.
We don't get
Would
promoted to
recommend.
say that. That's hashtag not an ad.
Well, it's going to be. I'm gonna at them soon, and they'll give us money. Give me money. Money.
I'm once again recording in my room on probably not the best microphone. I feel like I should say that up top. And I don't know if it looks like I've been drinking. If you see it on the podcast, that's not, you can't tell again because it's an audio medium primarily.
Why were you drinking?
Cap, I did something dumb. I don't know if I'd call it necessarily dumb. I did something
Well,
I haven't.
if you drink every single time you do something dumb, you'd be drunk 24/7.
Yeah. No. I. For the first time in like 6 months, I went to go see people. I didn't go out to a bar. I went out. I barbecued a tri-tip and some ribs in my friend's backyard. Everyone was wearing masks. We sat around a fire, pretty distantly distanced. And that was I did that for the first time in like 6 months, and it was really nice. It was
Good.
I really missed doing that. I definitely think I fit more in the extrovert category. I really miss those interactions, and the whole time I felt anxious. I'm like, oh no, everyone's gonna get sick.
Well, you should have been doing that the entirety of the last 6 months, you idiot. This whole coronavirus thing is a hoax. I should know. I got out of America. I'm here in Ukraine. Nobody wears a mask. There's no epidemic here. There must not be because nobody wears a fucking mask.
Is that
I don't know what the fuck's going on, man. But like, I see a mask like every like one in like 10 to 20 people.
do people look at
Pretty
you
bad.
and they're like, he's not from around here. He's wearing a mask.
Yeah, I feel like that constantly.
Man, that's
I
wild.
feel I constantly feel judged.
Do they have all the production people wearing masks to like make you feel better?
In the We Play studios, no. They do not wear masks, but we're supposed to be in a bubble of sorts. Obviously, not really, but it's. I mean, I see the same production people every single day, and they're not supposed to go out and do anything. It's still the studio is still in an office, so there's still a lot of people. And there's a lot of people that work at We Play, so can't really control everybody.
Dude,
But yeah,
I've been watching more We Play than most other Dota events for a minute now. I
it's a
have,
good tournament.
and I don't know if it's because I'm excited that there's like Dota going on, or I'm excited that Liquid's playing, or if I'm excited to,
They're not playing anymore.
you gotta, hey man, it's like a thing now. I have to care about that. I'm excited to see like these fun clips, mostly of you and Jenkins, like just perpetuating through the internet and being like, well, that was entertaining. I've catched more We Play than I have of Dota in a minute.
Good. I think we put on a pretty good show, despite people's complaints about that we're bullshitting and having too much fun. I think it's made for a really fun show, and ultimately, I don't know why people get so sensitive about this. Like I was just reading on the subreddit last night. It's like people were complaining Kyle Jenkins and Shiva were like goofing around too much. But like we still have a draft panel that talks seriously about the draft and the upcoming matchup. And then we still have casters who, like, it's me and Fog. Like, you're not going to get a whole lot of clowning around with that. You're going to get a ton of analysis. So, like, I don't really know. Like, some people are just wild. Like, they need, okay, welcome, everybody. This is a serious matchup between evil geniuses and Alliance. Now, let's break down every minutia of every player matchup and every conceivable hero they could pick. Like, good Lord. Like...
I don't think anyone...
Some fucking variety in here.
I don't think anyone listening to us right now is of that opinion. I think that surely we've self-selected an audience that is, like, more silly. So I assume that people who are here are like, no, I like kind of the dumb stuff. I mean, I'm not always a giant fan of a Slacks cast. I do think that it does have its time and place, right? But I do think that Jenkins has definitely grown on a lot of people, myself included, with a bunch of different people he's worked at it with WePlay, just because it feels like that kind of jovial excitement is almost something that hasn't really been around that much.
He's got a lot of passion, and he's a fucking wacko in like the best way possible. Jenkins is insane. I've actually never been on a cast so Rich says this about Owen. Whenever he's on a panel with Owen, he feels nervous because like he never knows what like Owen is gonna say. Like he feels like Owen's gonna like just like throw a major curveball at him at any point in time. But I've never felt that with anybody except Jenkins. Like Jenkins, I'm literally like, sometimes I'm just on the edge of my seat, like, where's this gonna go? It makes for a pretty fun cast. Like when he literally started screaming, when he had me like, I posted that clip, the cha-ching, cha-ching, I'm making the gold noise, and then. I expected him to get into it, but he literally starts screaming in the studio. He's like, yes. And I'm like, oh, okay, it'll just be that. I'm like, yes, that'll be good. And then he goes, yes. Oh, God, yes. And I'm just like, what's happening?
It's so interesting to see how different people, like, interact and play off that stuff, too. Like, if you're starting to make, like, the cha-ching, cha-ching noise, my brain goes to, oh, this is like an a cappella song. I wonder how much we can harmonize and how long we can start singing for. But Jenkins is like, you know what I'm going to do right now? Literally scream.
I'm going to have an audible orgasm on stream right now.
Dude.
Oh, gracious.
How's that clothing fit?
Oh, God.
Is it comfortable? Are you like wearing undershirts, or is there like just underwear underneath, or like?
I mean, you could see my chest pretty clearly. There's no undershirt.
Tsunami was telling me he was getting bullied for his armpit hair, so that I'm like, oh man, I can see Cap's chest hair. What's everyone doing? Everyone used to shave.
No, don't shave your chest. Come on now.
Absolutely not. I totally disagree with that.
You disagree with that?
I disagree with what I said. I agree with what you said. Do not shave your chest. I've tried to do it. When it grows back, it sucks.
I usually trim my armpit hair anyway, but I think a lot more people have done that for this event because it's like the shirt that has the shoulder hanging off. You have to like. The only way to put that, you can't put that on like a normal shirt, like it doesn't stretch or anything like that. So you have to do this motion, and also your armpit's kind of like always available to the audience. So a lot more people have been taking some personal hygiene time for this tournament. But yes, I'm one of the lucky people who wears the shirt that one shoulder is always exposed.
I wonder.
I never get a different outfit. That's always my outfit. Me and Lizard, we just always have that same outfit because they're like, who wants to see some male cleavage? I know, we'll put that on Lizard and Cap. Which Lizard, it makes sense, but me, you just get a bunch of hair.
I wonder if people are gonna have foot wiki pages after this event because there's just a lot of bare feet hanging around.
Oh yeah. It's
I'm gonna make one for you.
My favorite thing in the world.
I'm gonna make one for you.
Please don't. Very seriously, please don't. There's a reason. there's a reason that every single time I am not when I'm casting, you can't see my feet, so I'm wearing shoes. There's a reason I'm wearing socks and shoes. I'm not comfortable with that.
Because you're self-conscious about your own feet?
Yes.
Gotcha. There's...
I've got some gnarly feet, and the only way to fix that is through some medication that I can't take. So,
Is it like an element in particular? Like you don't like the toenails or the toes, or like what's the...
so I'm born with naturally thicker nails and skin on the bottom of my feet.
Okay.
And that naturally leads into other complications. So it's and I can't get it fixed. Like I've gotten a doctor and he's like, you have to take this pill medication, but then it turned out I couldn't take that pill medication because of other health complications. So
have you like tried to get like pedicures for your feet? Like does anything...
No, never. I'll never let some stranger touch my feet.
I'm kind of self-conscious. I mean, I'm not going to say that I have the same situation as you, but I definitely do get a lot of dead skin on my heels. And sometimes I'll just sit in the shower for like a very long time being like, well, time to sand my body off.
Time to scrape off a pound of dead skin.
It's disgusting.
There's treatments for that. Ellie actually, because her salon is... she's expanding into skincare as well, and there is a treatment that it looks to me almost like a kind of chemical burn sort of deal that deals with that problem. So you ask Ellie, she could probably hook you up.
Maybe I should. I don't like that. I've always thought that my big toe looks really weird. It's like very much a circle. It's just a circle, and it looks like weird and stubby. And people go like, oh, what are you self-conscious about? And I think a lot of people's minds gravitate to like, my penis or my nose. Like, I think that has to be like the top two responses, right? But someone's like, yeah, like, what are you self-conscious about? I'm like, dude, I hate my big toes. They look disgusting. Also, my face is also a circle, but that's the thing I can, in theory, fix if I stop eating so much ice cream. But that's a whole different problem.
I've been doing really good with I mean, not really good, but I've been doing pretty good since I've been here. I've worked out and done yoga almost every single day that I've been here. I have been keeping a relatively okay diet. Yeah, I'm hoping that I get home because I don't have a scale. I'm hoping I get home and found that I've lost at least a few pounds. I put some muscle back on from working out every morning, so I have made this this month, this grind that we're on. I've tried to make it as productive as possible. I recorded a great podcast. I worked out every single day. I did like 3 auditions for voice acting stuff, which thank you, Joey, for one of the hookups. And yeah, dude, good stuff all around.
That's wild. It feels like you've been productive then. That's kind of cool. Are you ready to like get back to some sense of normalcy?
Oh God, yes. I can't wait to go home. Like I think all of us reached like at least I know Slacks and I reached a point. It was actually right before our infamous cast. That day we took a cab together to the studio, and we both agreed. We're like, this is the day. This is the day it starts. We are no longer. It is the first day that I'm like, if I could skip this day of work, I would. Every other day, you know, I'm very happy to go in. If somebody offered me a chance to be like, oh, you don't have to come into work today, I'd be like, no, I'm going in anyway. But that was the first day. It's like the 3rd week. It's like at the end of the 3rd week, that's usually when you're like, okay, I'm kind of done with this now.
Can you tell that people have gotten crankier over the course of the month?
Oh, yes. Yes, very much so.
There's probably a lot of tea there that we definitely can't talk about, so I'll just dance around all of it. But
I mean, it's not that bad, honestly. Like the Dota talents were all pretty nice to each other. Like that is the thing. It's like Henry G put out his retirement post, and in it he talked about like how there's some fake people and stuff like that. But Dota talent, we're all pretty real, and I think we're all pretty friends with each other. It's just
everyone's a weirdo, right? Everyone's just weird, yeah. So you accept that everyone else is weird, and it's fine.
Some people have gotten cranky. I mean, I'm gonna just put this out there. I've made sure that I go to bed around midnight, 1 a.m., at latest 2 a.m. every single day, in part because I have no blackout curtains. Look at this shit. It's so goddamn bright.
Well, that is pretty bright.
Yeah, so, I naturally wake up at 7 a.m. every single day. And then I go back to sleep and try and sleep in the bright sun for like another 2 hours or something. But I've made sure that I get my sleep every single day. And not everyone does that, so they get really cranky.
What do you miss most about being home? Is it Ellie? Is it like your normal routine? Is it like your comforts of home, or like the house, or just like not being in a foreign country where people don't speak English that much? Like, where does it rank?
It probably goes Ellie, and then my...
Does she listen? Do you have to say that? Is she going to hear that? Like, is that thing you have to say?
She does listen to the podcast.
Okay, so then I guess you have to say that.
Up here.
That's like, it's not even a contest. It's fucking exponentially higher.
I don't even know why you would ask, Joey.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
The second thing would be my room, which includes blackout curtains, so I don't wake up at 7 a.m. That would be number 2. Honestly, that is like the second most important thing to me. And then the third would probably be my computer setup, because this one, the chair is too high. I need the chair arms to match the desk.
Yep,
right?
very
I need
important.
A flat surface, right? Very important. But what that means is the desk is too high, and so the chair is too high, and so my feet are off the ground. That's not good. So what it means is it eventually starts hurting my back.
This is my foot pillow.
Yeah.
This is my foot
That's
pillow.
smart.
I keep a foot pillow under my desk. One of the best investments you can get, I think, if you actually want to practice proper posture, but don't have a desk where you can kind of adjust the height to, because it's weird to be able to adjust desk height or chair height. I have an IKEA desk that's just kind of like fixed at a certain height, but the pillow lets me kind of sit normally, which I like. Makes me feel like an old man, but man, I love it.
Yeah. No, good posture, very important. And I think those are the 3 things. Like, I guess I miss my cat, but like, it's all kind of like, it's just like, I don't need a whole lot, but the things that I do need are like, very important to me, and I need to like, I just need to be able to veg out in a comfortable environment.
How driven are you by your stomach? Like, are you like going home and
very.
I'm going to eat something? Like, is there something that you want to go home and eat right now?
I'm probably gonna order Howlin' Rays when I get back.
Their takeout's really weird right now.
Oh yeah, what's wrong with their takeout? Don't tell this to me, Joey. You're stressing me out right now. I need my Howlin' Rays. I'm
really sorry. I'm pretty sure that you can only order it via Postmates, and you have to do it within like a 5-mile radius of Howlin' Rays.
Oh no!
So you have to like drive
5 miles out.
You have to drive down there and then like order it to like a park or something.
What?
Because you also can't order from the website, and they don't do takeout right now. That's the way it was like 2 weeks ago.
I've been enjoying so much delivery from Howlin' Rays, dude. Fuck. But I'm more than 5 miles out, so this is gonna screw up my whole system. This is terrible.
Will you only eat hot chicken from Howlin' Rays?
No, I'll eat it from other places. I just really like Howlin' Rays.
Bone in? Or sandwiches?
Well, I had the sandwich.
Okay,
I had the sandwich.
Okay.
So.
Good to know. I saw a hot chicken place down. I'm like, fuck, I missed that. But I also, dude, it's wild. Since you've been out of Los Angeles, I promise you everyone's forgotten what coronavirus is. I drove down, like, a main street the other day, and the amount of people just, like, hanging out by the beach is wild now. We've regressed. You should stay there. You should really stay there.
Again, nobody wears a mask here either, so I can almost guarantee it's got to be worse here just because I've been so flabbergasted by how few people wear it. My one experience is I had one of the few taxi drivers speak English, And I got in the car, and he basically asked if he should put on a mask, and I was like, yeah, that would be good. And he kind of looks at me, and he narrows his eyes a little bit. And he says, "Condition?" He's asking me if I have a pre-existing condition that like I need to worry about the implication being there that if I'm a perfect normal human being, I don't need to worry about this corona thing. And I was like, yes, condition. Put the fucking mask on, you goddamn animal. The hell? It's not that hard. A mask is not that hard. It's very easy to work with.
They've put up a bunch of billboards in LA since you've been on Austin that say "Don't be a mask hole," showing pictures of people without wearing masks, which is so weird to me. We live in the weirdest timeline at this point. It's wild. We're gonna tell our kids about this. Neither of us are gonna have kids. We're gonna tell someone else's kids about this one day. It's gonna be shocking. Man.
So I've got a bunch of personal stories that have happened over the last 3 weeks, and I'm sure you do too. But we do have some fresh news in the Dota 2 scene, and we do have to keep this podcast relatively short.
We do. You have to go work for a lot of time, right? So I shouldn't take too much of it, and we should just talk about. I feel like people want to know some Dota stuff, because how many things got released today? There was an Arcana. There was a fucking update about streaming rights.
The drop that ended up killing Evil Geniuses versus Alliance Game 1 40 minutes in. Yeah. Great job. You couldn't just wait, Valve. You couldn't just wait 10 minutes before you dropped an update. Jesus.
Dude.
We're there till 2 a.m. last night because of that.
The fucking VP Liquid series.
Oh, you mean 5Men Liquid, where they kept on remaking? That was some absurd shit. They played 5 games in a best of 3, and it was 2-0.
I think that was... I don't think there was enough people watching that series, but I think that was one of the most interesting things that I've seen in the last... In the last long period of time, because it seemed like everyone on the broadcast was just going fucking crazy. They're like, what is going on? Why are we here still?
Yeah. When those things happen, that's when you see the broadcast team break down, because we're all like, okay, we'll be done in about 3 hours. And like, okay, this is getting a bit silly. What's going on? And then like at some point in time, you just like, you can't be serious and like seriously analyze the third draft of Game 1, it just doesn't work anymore.
So we played a lot of busted games, but notably Valve could have held it off like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes to not bust the EG game up for the Windrunner Arcana.
Yeah. And as a result, I'm pretty sure EG would have 2-0'd. As a result, EG end up losing the series. It's pretty funny.
I'm sure. Maybe they shouldn't have picked Storm of Spirit.
True.
Just
what
just
a
saying.
booty hero.
Just saying. Not that I shouldn't say that at all. I have no idea how Dota works. But they did more than just be like, hey everybody, you know that hero everyone's joking about because Slack's made popular again? Thanks, Slacks. Mm-hmm. What if we just, I don't know, address the whole DPC thing, which I think has been coming for what's this been brewing for now? Maybe about a week. People started poking around about it.
Oh, yeah. People have been up in arms about it for a week. Yeah. It's been a constant conversation over the last, 3 years easily, but definitely stretches back probably 5 years through the various tournaments and stuff like that. And we finally have an update. We finally have a change of Valve policy, which is probably the lightest change they could have done, but I still think it's a good change, which they are... So specifically, the biggest news is they put a bunch of DPC news. Honestly, I fucking skimmed through that shit because it's all meaningless. I mean, they pretty much said like, TI's not going to happen until next year. We don't really know what we're going to be doing with the DPC. I assume Valve has no details on any of this shit, given the way the post was written. So I just kind of like, okay, that part, you're like, whatever. The important news was the Dota TV news, where there are fresh streaming rules, where Valve have instituted that for future tournaments. Tournament organizers have to present their assets available, so like all their overlays that they put in and stuff like that for their sponsors. And streamers must actually put that on their stream in order to be allowed to stream the tournament itself, which is a simple yet somewhat elegant solution to a lot of the complaints people had about this. I think the most elegant part of it is that streamers who have conflicting sponsors obviously won't really be able to use those overlays, therefore won't be able to stream the tournament, which is a good way of kind of like censoring out the difference of streamers. You do not want to kill people who just want to provide content to the Dota 2 scene and are doing it in order to like try and build their brand as a community caster or anything like that. You don't want to do that, right? But what you would like to do is probably censor out some of like basically what are commercial entities at this point in time, like Gorp, Admiral Bulldog, like those guys. Those are big streamers, and they're not really like, I wouldn't call them like community like casters or anything like that. So in a way, this kind of does keep them at bay, and basically says, well, if you want to be able to do these tournaments, then you'll have to be a lot more picky, I guess, about your sponsors and your sponsor obligations that you have with your stream, or maybe just not have sponsors at all.
I wonder how much someone could bend the rules there if they really wanted to. Like, if I'm Monster Energy, and I know that Bulldog is someone who is very important to me, I feel like if I was Monster, I'd almost be like, yeah, take the Monster logo off the stream, keep it in the title, keep it beneath the player, keep just fucking say Monster Energy and joke about it during the broadcast with your words. Like, I wonder where the line actually is, because I can see the value in a brand giving someone, flexibility. Like a Bulldog. Maybe that's like a very fringe case for someone, for a brand that's woke enough and for a streamer who has that kind of clout. But they don't really make hard rules of can and cannot. There is still like a layer of ambiguity there. What if you have a betting website that's underneath the player and a Twitch button that's still on a page getting a lot of views even though the stream has an overlay? Like, is that a weird line? What about bots in chat? What about, anything in between?
Yeah, and no doubt, if they don't make these rules a lot more clear, then some tournament organizer or some streamer is going to get into trouble. More likely, I feel like some tournament organizers getting into trouble by trying to tell some streamer that they can't do something, and then then people will be back on the plight of the small-time community streamers and the tournament organizers that terrorize them, So
Facebook,
there will be some fuck up, and Valve will have to step in and slap some wrists or something. Yeah,
I'd love to know. So, like, I think for so many of us, Valve is this weird entity that is just a black box. And it creates like all this mystique because you don't know like how they decided this or who decided it or like what even like are there people who disagree inside the company and stuff like that. But I keep on finding myself interested in like these very what some people might call silly details. Like I read this blog post and I'm like, did one person write this? Was this a team of multiple people? Like how many people really truly had their hands on this decision? And not because I want to know like names, right? But I'm just so curious, like, is there someone who is behind the scenes just like really trying to take the DPC by the reins at this point and write all this out and fix this? Has all this backlash been affecting everyone in the Dota department's life for the last, 2 weeks? And like, did all of them have a hand in it? Like, I find myself, almost thinking less about the actual news and just more curiosity still about, dude, Valve's a fucking wild company.
Yeah. No, I think your entire ideas about like, did one person write this or a team, that is so easy to be able to like point to with many Valve products, but I feel like Dota for whatever reason is especially because Dota seems to like we get conflicting decision, maybe not even conflicting decisions, but like let's just make a good example like of all the times where Valve has said we're going to do this with Dota. That was probably what like one person who's like, oh, I have this idea that this is what I want to do, and then for whatever reason they lose their passion for their project, move on to something else. Like there's been so many like we have that nice page about the new player experience, right? And like the training things, and there's 4 boxes and only 2 of them are filled up or something like that. There's been those features that Reddit like to meme about like, oh, this is going to, be in Dota 2, and then it never ends up being there.
Resume from replay. It could have fixed the Liquid situation. What the fuck?
Yeah. But, at the end of the day, somebody has to, like, maybe there's somebody who makes the decision that it's not actually worth investing the time into, or maybe that person who was going to do that and was passionate about that project is no longer there at Valve, or who knows what. But it's very clear, like you could definitely see that part of the company culture kind of shining through in some ways. And it definitely felt like somebody was like, all right, time to take control of this DPC thing. Let's make this a much bigger deal. And then Corona happened, and then we just kind of like, okay, well, we're kind of all sitting there going like, DPC, I guess it'll happen soon. And okay, this Omega League, it'll be the last big tournament before the DPC. And then, there's no DPC. Okay. Well, I guess we'll go back to third-party stuff.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think the most interesting thing that wasn't, about the streaming rights was just them very clearly saying, yeah, TI 10's probably going to be in August 2021. I think a lot of people assumed that, or people who had some kind of, understanding of COVID assumed that, or the scene assumed that. But I think that kind of hit a lot of people hard of like, oh, we're just going to miss a full thing this year. And the natural progression is, what the fuck happens to the compendium and the prize pool? There's so many questions that have been created today by these clarifications that just require even more information. What happens to the prize pool? What happens to the compendium? Can I still keep playing in guilds? Because why arbitrarily stop them at this point? Is it going to become a Dota Plus feature? Probably. Where's the money going is a big one. Does the Arcana vote get revealed anytime before August 2021? Because that would be shitty.
Yeah. I have no doubt that stuff will certainly have a payoff soon.
Yeah, I think that has to have a payoff. But, when does the DPC actually start? Are the same people going to be doing the DPC? I guess no one really knows who got the contracts anyway, so that's less important. But there's so many more questions that I just assume that they don't know the answers to, which makes it, I guess that makes it fun for us to sit here and speculate on, right? We can sit here and be like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. But I do really wonder what's going to happen, because I think the thing that hit me the hardest this last week when this whole conversation happened is, I've been watching LCS, which is going on without a hitch. Blizzard has their games operating, PUBG's still playing leagues. The Rocket League Championship Series is happening in some different way than they all wanted to, but they're all happening. And then, Liquid from League of Legends qualified for Worlds, and they're going to, they've been quarantining. They're going to get on a plane, fly to Shanghai with every other team, and then also quarantine, and also play in a bubble situation. So I know that Riot has 100+ employees just dedicated to esports. I know that MasterCard and Han and all these sponsors pay for the LCS, things that Dota doesn't have to consider, right? But just being able to compare apples to apples, if you don't think about all those other little things, it's like, well, why can't we do the DPC? And the fact that everyone else is doing something, I think, is what makes it feel a little bit bad for me. And I don't know why I just had that realization, even though it's been that way for months now.
Yeah, I think I don't think that Valve is entirely wrong for like not doing what Riot's doing. Like it is really interesting. The idea that sponsorship obligations in a way is making these other esports like continue with some sort of game plan. And I would argue that I'm not sure like for the world's example, if that like them feeling compelled to still put that together, that's for me, I think that's a bad idea. I think that that is going too far, bringing a bunch of people together, putting them in a bubble and stuff. Like that has the opportunity for disaster. And I'm speaking as someone who's here doing a much smaller version of the same thing. Like I think it's probably just not that good of an idea. But at least with the smaller it is, the more variables you can control, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this is an acceptable risk, let's say. But you throw like an entire event like that, and I feel like it's getting out of hand. But like it feels like Valve has like there's got to be some sort of middle ground to this entire thing where we still keep going with stuff, but we do change and we make sure we don't take certain risks. Whereas it feels like Valve was like way over here on the other side of things where it's like, well, we don't have those obligations. We're still making money. Like the money's still coming in from the compendium. And yeah, I'm sure they have a lot of problems that they have to like think out and solve and like what exactly is going to be the thing. But if they don't give like any sort of like, hey, here's the roadmap, then we saw like there's just going to be a lot of tier 2 and like when you're already talking about like, okay, the player pool is going down and the tier 2 tier 3 scene is suffering, and there is a problem there. If you don't give that sort of stability of saying like, here's what you are available, like here's what's going to be available for you to participate in the future, then certain things like we've already seen a couple of team orgs that have just said, okay, we're done. We can't really keep this going anymore. I think you're going to see players who are very likely maybe doing the same thing, where they're just like, okay, this is getting a little bit too unstable. I don't really know how to go forward from here. I think it's really interesting. There's this Sir Scoots tweets where he says, just like in sports, the less players get paid to compete, the more likely they are to match fix to make extra money off of playing. They are more vulnerable to being bribed and coerced. They worry less about losing reputation, team contract, sponsors, etc. if they get caught too. And he says a few things after that. But I think that is like a really interesting topic of conversation because I could see a near future. I mean, it is already happening. It's already happening, no doubt. There are some very questionable games happening in like various regions. China being like one of the most notable ones. We have this like Omega League. There was that front page post about like the match fixing that was going on between China and with some of the Chinese North American players. One really notable player, Baidu King. And I have no doubt that this will just continue to grow as a problem. The more that the tier 2 and tier 3 scene is not supported, match fixing will become a bigger deal. And the thing is that tier 1 players don't give a fuck about it because they're already in a place where it's like in a way it may end up just becoming a bubble of sorts, because there are going to be people who feel like, okay, it's no longer worth investing into to try and grind my way from being a no name up into a tier 1 player. And the tier 1 players have all the financial stability in the world, right? Because they've got sponsors that are giving them lots of money. They've won tons and tons of money off of prize pools and stuff like that. And so at some point in time, I think you could see a future where there's just this tier 2, tier 3 scene that's rife with match fixing, and a tier 1 scene that has become a bubble of sorts where, yeah, they'll have the secrets where they pull in, this pub player. Oh, let's, in 2 months, he's going to look like a god. But there's just may not be any like real threats, real depth to the tier 2 scene outside of like Europe. I think Europe and CIS will remain probably relevant in that regard, mostly because the competition is high already. So therefore there's more tournaments going to be here, and CIS especially is very well funded. when it comes to the tier 2 and tier 3 tournaments that are available for teams to be able to participate in. I think sponsors are more interested in Dota in that area as well.
Also, without sounding too, affluent, and the cost of living. Just like the difference of cost, like, winning a $500 prize pot for a tier 2 team, I think goes a lot farther in some of those countries than it does in Los Angeles or even a smaller American city or somewhere in Canada or the more wealthy parts of Europe, right? So there's like, we need the money. People get so fixated on prize pools, but there needs to be enough to sustain these people to make them active, right? And it does. There's so many questions. And I think a lot of people express these questions because they care. Like, we wouldn't be talking about this if we weren't like a bit worried because we care. So it's almost like a, hey, I'm worried about everything that's going on. But yeah, I'm really interested in what the next couple of months hold now that it feels like we've gotten like a small little balance patch. Like we got like a point A or something. And now I think that's gonna satiate people for maybe to the end of Omega League, maybe to the end of September. But then there'll be nothing else that's really talked about. There's no other Dota to be played. People are going to be like, hey, so what's going on again? And then I think we'll see the same cycle kind of perpetuate itself until more answers come out.
Yeah, I'm like just the Dota TV streaming thing. I'm not a tournament organizer. I really don't know the answer to these questions. Like, I have no clue how much this actually helps tournament organizers. I've heard conflicting information. I've heard somebody said, "Oh, this will actually help significantly," and I've heard others be like, "This won't help at all because what you sell to sponsors isn't actually going to affect that much, right? It's not like you can point to Gorp and be like, here's his streaming numbers. He's going to be streaming our tournament with these overlays. Like, that you can't really actually sell that to a sponsor." So that sounds pretty reasonable to me. That sounds like something that. So I don't really know like how much of a bump in what tournament organizers are able to get out of their sponsors based on this change specifically.
I can see it not being too much of a help. Like, if I'm trying, from what I know, if I'm trying to go to Subway and tell them, hey, this is the event I want to put on, this is how many impressions you're going to get, they're gonna want some type of auditing, but they're also gonna want to know, like, well, where are those coming from? And to say like, oh, well, 60% of them are coming from a place where we own and operate, where we make sure everything is perfect the way you want it, where we can make sure that, the ads that you want in addition to the overlays are played, that we're actually giving verbal plugs, that you see our desk that has your logo on it. Like, there's a lot of other things than just stream overlays. And
oh yeah, like every single time you'll notice they're casting Omega League, the end of the draft, they go and they say something about the odds on screen. They don't even have to say EGB specifically, but we have to point to the odds and direct people's attention to the odds that are there on screen. Usually it's a discussion of some sorts. And then they pass it over to the casters. Same thing's going to happen sometime during the cast, that they're going to mention the odds at some point. And it's not, oh, something's on screen, let me talk about it. It is literally, it's a sponsor call out that is a little bit more subtle than saying EGB.com. You're like,
I guarantee you just blew a number of people's minds right now.
Yeah, that shit is not. I don't talk about betting odds. I don't find that fun. I mean, it can be a funny subject. Like that is the nice part about it, is that I always have a strong problem with like anytime a tournament organizer is like, I need you to get a shout out to this sponsor, because I feel like that's not what you paid me for. You paid me for a lot of other things to present to your tournament, but you do not pay me specifically for me to name a sponsorship. And so this is a subtle way to, like, I think, get around that, where we don't have to say the names. I could just kind of reference the odds on the screen. But yeah.
Where does that? I mean, I'm curious to actually explore a little bit more. Like, is there like a sponsorship calls that feel like so the betting stuff feels super organic because you don't have to directly say the sponsor name. You You're just like, it's a point of conversation, right? But then there's like something in the middle where it's like, oh, hey, everybody, every time there's a rampage, we have to call them the White Claw Rampages. And then you get a little audio sound effect that has like a can popping up and then fizz comes on the screen. You're like, wow, it was only 50 calories. And then there's more aggressive things like, thank you. Now to our BMW caster deck, sponsored by Red Bull. Take it away, Johnny Dell. Like, it does any of it feel bad?
It feel like it just not like, listen, I don't really give that much of a fuck. So
Okay.
It only feels bad if I'm not getting paid for it, Like I have no problem supporting betting. Like I have no moral, like I don't have any moral standing on betting specifically. Like I don't think it's probably not a good idea to advertise to children. Unfortunately, I'm alleviated of most of those feelings of guilt because I feel like Dota audience is trends a bit older. Like I'm not Fortnite. Like if I was doing Fortnite, for example, where primary of my audience is probably under 18, then I feel like that's probably a problem.
You're still betting and cannabis and cigarettes, and you're like, hey, everybody.
It's a little bit different. Like it's like TV, right? Like obviously, so there's some kids watching some TV shows, and they're exposed to commercials that probably aren't oriented towards them. But it's way different than having those same commercials be between a kids show, on a kids channel. Hey, welcome to Nickelodeon. Buy some Marlboro smokes. It's like that's a lot different. And I feel like Dota is more in that first category where we're not trying to hit the kid audience too much. And very specifically, we're trying to hit that 18 to 25 category.
Yeah.
A lot more.
The golden demo, if people are curious. That's what you want all your viewers to be, because they follow you throughout most of their life, and they're young and impressionable, but smart enough to either be able to spend money or something else.
Soon they will be big time consumers as they go from 25 to 30, and all of a sudden they are buying that BMW that was advertised to you at ESL1. Mercedes-Benz, excuse me.
Someone is going to buy a Mercedes that was influenced by ESL Dota. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Marketing's crazy. Yeah. Another interesting thing that, sometimes we talk about the difference between Dota or esports celebrity versus real celebrity. If you were, I don't know, name someone famous. LeBron James.
Chris Hemsworth.
Okay. Someone like that. Good job. Yeah. Yes, and you are going to be doing an event where you have to plug some type of sponsor that is in your contract. There's someone negotiating for it, and if you do have to do it, depending on what it is, they have to pay you a lot more. Because people just don't do that stuff for free. Because by you, Cap, being like, hey everybody, back to the fucking White Claw Rampage, that's like you using your own personal brand and clout to now be a spokesman for White Claw, even though you didn't really agree to that. So it's another little fun idiosyncrasy. A lot of people do it in esports or fields that are less experienced because it's a job, and they're like, you can't say no. You don't want to get replaced by someone, right? But if you look at more professional advertising, celebrities, Hollywood, everyone's getting paid for that, and you're not, which sucks.
That's typically why so some people use the argument, well, hosts just work more, and it is harder work, therefore you get paid more. For me, whatever, like I'm asked to host, I charge more specifically on the ground that I'm going to be the person shouting out your sponsors. Therefore, I'm tying my personal brand to your sponsors. I should get some money off of that. And that's also why the biggest one that happened in Dota was ESL1. They've been doing the Vodafone Presents. So they'll talk about like a player versus player matchup. And it's a separate segment than the analyst desk. And it's specifically branded as well. So when ESL first brought that to us, we were just like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean I'm doing this specially branded segment that starts off with Vodafone presents the pre-match, whatever the fuck it was, and then I'm there doing something that is not my normal job. I'm not on the analyst desk. I'm somewhere in front of the camera talking to somebody else about a player-on-player matchup. We saw that and we banded together and said, this is not okay. This is something that you have to pay us more money for. And they did. like ESL. They pay us extra money for that, and now it's funny because like everybody wants the segments.
They're like, wait, I can shill Vodafone and I can make it to $100.
Hell
Dude,
yeah, give me that money, baby.
Beer's on me tonight, man. Or excuse me, White Claw's on me tonight. Dude, that's actually super interesting. I've never heard that before. I'm happy that more of that is happening. But esports,
yeah,
is
the
Wild
argument
West.
we used is it was outside of the what's the there's a contractual phrase for this where it's
Deliverables?
outside the purview or something.
The scope.
Yeah,
purview.
like it was just outside the scope of what you hired us for. Like you hired us for play-by-play casting, like casting inside the game. You hired us for the panel work that happens afterwards. But this is something different, and it's specifically branded too. So it's not like it's just like, oh, here's the Purge segment. Though I think Purge also probably gets paid a lot more for like when they go to him on the screen, and that is branded specifically with I think it was Mountain Dew or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure he probably negotiates more specifically for that. But for Mega League, for example, we cut to this AR segment with T Governor. That's not branded at all, and that is maybe outside of the normal scope of things. But it is still analytics, and it is cool. So like. That's not extra. That's just another work. But if it was branded, it would be different.
I think the thread here is that sponsors are tricky. Whether you're trying to sell as a tournament organizer, whether you're trying to fucking be a restreamer and a bulldog, whether you're trying to be a caster and be like, hey everybody, thanks for that. I love Steel Series. So money's weird. But we all need the money to keep doing the Dota, which I think Slacks very eloquently covered last week. So, man, we should.
Man, I've never seen Slacks get angry about a subject. He was actually very passionate about it. He argued with people on Reddit about that.
Yeah, that was
That's
wild.
how like he really cared about this subject because he cares about the health of the scene. And there's a lot of people who think not a lot of people, but there's some people who just get into their mind like that we're just trying to like get more money for ourselves and like, yeah, maybe in a roundabout way, but more so I would like my job to continue for another 5 years and my fate is directly correlated to how good Dota does. So
I wonder if Slacks has a problem where, he's actually very intelligent and a lot of people know that because his persona is a little bit more silly. That when he tries to get into a form like that on Reddit or in comments, or people just are like, that's the guy who makes fart jokes, instead of like, oh, wait a second, he's actually a very valuable and well thought out member of our community. I wonder if that bothers him.
I think it's actually the opposite. I think it's actually because he acts, he plays the clown all the time. When he does say something serious, people are, I think for Slack specifically, because he is a very smart person, that I feel like it's a little bit more striking. Like the clown is getting serious and he's making intelligent points. Like maybe there's that. But I was talking about it with Jenkins. I was like, because Jenkins is going down the same kind of route. It's that not everybody can put on that persona, but it does give you so many degrees of forgiveness if you do put in that persona and you say something stupid or like it just becomes, you have a lot more forgiveness than the person who is like, serious and very analytical. I mean, just think about like if Purge ever gaffed on something, people would be like, well, he measures his words all the time, like he obviously meant something when he said, or something like that. So
I'm thinking of the difference between like Sheever saying something batshit crazy versus you saying something crazy versus Jenkins saying something crazy, which are all a spectrum, right? But Sheever and Jenkins are at polar opposite ends. And because when you're closer to Jenkins, you just get more forgiveness because you're like, it's either supposed to be funny or it's a joke that missed or we know that person's so silly, haha. So it's definitely fun.
He like constantly mispronounces things on purpose because it's a troll thing. He likes doing it to troll people. I know, it bothers me a lot. I keep telling him to stop doing it because I'm like, you don't realize it, but to some of the audience, you're killing your credibility as an analyst by intentionally mispronouncing things. I know it shouldn't work that way, but it does. That's just how people operate. When they think you're incompetent at one thing, they think you're incompetent at all things. So I was like, please, for my sake, just like you do all the other funny, silly, dumb shit. I was just like, but mispronouncing things is like the one thing that I want him to stop doing.
Why are you calling it the Ajis? Like, I don't... What's going on?
Yeah. It's funny, the clip of the Gibbons, you can even see me, when he says the Gibbon, you can even see me and I mutter. I go, Gibbon. And I mutter it because I know he's doing it intentionally. He's done it enough times to me at this point in time that I've like gotten used to it. And so I know, like I was about to correct him, like really audibly. And then I was like, oh wait, he's just doing a thing. And I just kind of like muttered Gibbon. But he's like, Gibbon, you know?
Dude. Man, fuck. We said, hey, you know what? You gotta go work for 12 hours. We should do a short episode. And we still fucking, man, I see the timer. It says 55. It's 56 minutes. It was a mistake. Everything with talking, catching up was a mistake. We should have just waited. I should have cut you off. You got a long day of work ahead, buddy. People, we gotta go find out who's the champion of the... I had to explain someone what the name of the event was. And I'm like, oh, it's just the We Play Omega League Europe Immortal Division. They're like,
oh, yeah.
That's like 8 multi-syllabic words. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's I'm sorry. So
yeah. That's Dota tournaments for you. Gotta make it as complicated as possible.
That's why the international.
When we get back next time, by the way, I'm going to get into a bunch of stuff that happened to me while I was here, including that drama bit where Slacks and I got our casting called out as horrendous and went to the top of Reddit. So I'll talk about that, and it's going to be a fun discussion.
I heard a rumor it's because you hate Tier 2 Dota.
I do. Fucking can't stand them. Pieces of shit.
Fuck them. They don't deserve any... That money, Cap, that money's fucking yours, Austin, okay?
I hope they die.
Whoa. That's extreme.
I hope it's me. I hope in 5 years it's me. It's fucking Secret and fucking Evil Geniuses, and that's all there is. Forever. We're in a loop where I'm always casting them till the end of time.
I'm going to cut out the die so people can guess what word you said. It'll probably be really funny. Everybody... Thank you for hanging out. Again, this was probably the last one recorded remote. Cap is coming home, so the audio quality isn't always the same. Thanks for putting up with that. Last week, if you are someone who follows primarily on the podcast feed and you don't follow like me on Twitter or Cap on Twitter, one, you should do that. Two, we had some problems posting the audio feed on Tuesday because of the provider, which they were very helpful in getting me fixed. But I know a lot of people were messaging me at least, being like, "Hey, where's the episode?" So we everything is normal. That was just a little hiccup, is why it went out on Wednesday. Something out of our control. So thanks for putting up with that. And if you are listening on your podcast feed but you're not following, then I don't know. You're probably what's a good word? All the funny words to call people are just like SJW Snowflake like words now. Like I even heard Jesus. I even heard like Slack say Mongol on the other podcast, and I'm like, God, can you even say that anymore? Like, fuck.
Well, you know why, right? Because he was gonna say Mongoloid. But then he was like, wait, no, I shouldn't say that word. So then he changed it to Mongol. But then it just sounds like he's insulting just an entire region of people.
We gotta do a little bit of better training with Slacks. I don't know what funny word to call people who don't follow the podcast. I guess I'll just say with idiots. You're an idiot, so click the button and then become smarter. If you click the button, you'll get like 10 IQ points, guaranteed. Easy MMR. Cap, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a safe flight home. I hope that...
Same to you, dude. Except for the flying thing.
Yeah. Dude, it's 2 a.m. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to love it. I'm going to go to bed right now.